All righty, welcome to another edition of Super Kicking with Stephen and Greg, your favorite host right here. Stephen A. 1181, the Greg one over there, back at full strength. We'll be kicking it off with some news and notes from WWE. Right now, there's not a lot. We're just trying to make it through Raw, SmackDown, NXT, get to Money in the Bank. Had a brain freeze, which is next week, a week from today. So we'll get to that. There's also a pretty big SmackDown show in London as well the day before. So what else? We got Forbidden Door happening tomorrow for AEW. So we'll get at the end of the show. We'll predict that. We got Greg back. Glad to have him back here. I kind of ran the ship last week. It was a very quick sail into the sea. So was there anything last week, Greg, that you might have caught up on that you wanted to bring up as our news and notes? Or anything you wanted to bring up? Your Chris Paul is gone, right? I guess we could start there.
Yeah, they did the deal, got Chris Paul out of town and his $30 million contract over to Washington. We get Bradley Beal in return. So we actually bring in more money into a cap strap situation than we sent out. But, they're smarter people than I am and are at work. And I know there's going to be some moves made behind the scenes. They're going to have to fill up with veteran minimum players, but now they got a new super team with Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. And this is going to be an improvement because Chris Paul broke down a lot in the playoffs the last 2 years. And when he went down, the ship went down. So we need somebody more stable. And Beal is almost 9 years younger. He hasn't turned 30 yet.
Yeah.
Three-time All-Star. And, if you're going to have a big three, that's what you want right there. So there's some logistic problems to figure out as far as depth, because we definitely need a bench and somebody beyond the top four guys. Three, if we trade the 8 away, which I hope we do, just to get some a good rotation of talent in. But depending on what GM James Jones has, cooking, he may end up staying around for one more year. But we'll see. Some
How many
interesting
years
things
does
going
he have
on.
left on that deal? Because he re-signed, right?
Yeah, he resigned, but he's an asset that they can trade and get some value for still. So it'd be better to do it now when his value is perceivably the highest than running another season being so like he was last year and then have lower value. So,
and even in our chat, BW Sports chat, I think I said that you guys don't have any first round draft picks. You were actually in possession of till 2031.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
That's so you would think. I mean, yes, it's draft picks. You don't know, Greg, but like at the same time, you almost want those because eventually you're going to get younger for Kevin Durant, right? I mean, he kind of broke down too. His first game out, he rolls an ankle in the warm up line. So
yeah,
you got to get something there, but that's kind of crazy to think. Not even in charge of your own picks till 2031, which like we said, probably will change. But for now, that's 7 years. So, and who knows what the window is? The window is probably 3 or 4 years, I would think at most, with Kevin Durant in his prime.
Well, that's
you got to get one. You got to get at least that one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's win now. So it's not trust the process in 5 years we'll be there. It's like we got the talent right now.
Yeah.
We get our top three is better than almost everybody else's top three right now. So they need to go get it right now. So I dig what they're doing. I love to see the owners spending money and bringing in big names and making moves. But if they don't win a championship in the next 3 years, it's going to be all for nothing because that's probably about Kevin Durant's window. He's headed to the downside of his career, but he's probably got another couple of years of being, the Kevin Durant that we know and love, fills it up and is unstoppable before he starts declining. So
and that's like if you had that extra player, not to fill his shoes, but to at least hold the fort down. You know,
Right.
and right now I don't know, who's that big fourth guy, fifth guy behind him. My Pacers got a couple draft picks in. They made a deal with Washington, I believe. So Washington had us draft a guy, and then we got Therese Harris Walker
Yeah.
out of Houston, and then Ben Shepard later on. Sounds like a couple good pickups. Walker could be thrown into the starting lineup, I believe. They're thinking right away. So we're obviously younger, but we saw a lot of good things happen last year, and if Halliburton doesn't get hurt, the momentum might have kept going because we were right there in the top half of the Eastern Conference for first little bit of the season. So who's to say that won't happen? And got some cap room. I believe we're like the fifth highest with cap space. So who's to say you can't pick up a mid-level player just to kind of give you that extra bit of oomph if you need it, or somebody off a bench player, or maybe a starter in waiting that could be there needed. So I'm pretty excited for the future of the Pacers, Greg, and I think it is playoffs this year for them, even if it's play-in game. I mean, I think that's better than rolling the dice again on another draft pick. I think even though they're saying this year's draft will be even better, I believe this coming next year will be the Bronny Jr. class. So
That's all right.
yeah, we'll see. That's going to be something to watch next year because he kept saying, "Hey, I want to play with my son." So we'll see if a team takes a chance to think they can get LeBron, in the way. But that's going to be the year to watch next year, I think, Greg. So yeah. Anything WWE wise, I kind of have a blank slate. There wasn't a lot talked about. I mean, they were, I think it was mentioned about Roman still having the two titles and his new title, Greg, but that will slowly disappear. I think it's just a power move, just to look right now. But he's got the brand new title. I guess we should look at, the women's titles, the tag team titles, Greg. Do you think we finally get new tag team titles for men and women? Because it looks like it has to go that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you look at those titles compared to the other ones, Triple H has gone back to the classic look, black leather strap with the gold emblem on it, and they're all super clean looking. They got them away from the cartoonish, colorful championship. They look more like a championship belt should look like, and so I have no doubt that they're going to do the same thing with the tag titles on the men and women's side. So it would make total sense that over the next month or two that those get phased out, especially with Ronda. Well, I'm gonna get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But
Ronda and Shayna won.
it is
Not a big surprise.
Exactly. Soon that they're going to get presented new and improved belts,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that's going to happen so that they all look, not the same, but they all have that classic look again.
You think we get a new U.S. or IC title? I mean, I feel like the IC title fits in pretty well with kind of where they're at now. The U.S. title, does it need to get less gaudy? Because it's got that big, huge United States flag type looking deal. Do you think they downsize it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it should. The IC title should stay where it is. It fits in already, but the US title should get an upgrade and look similar to the other ones. So I think that should definitely be the way he goes. I think that is going to be the way he goes.
Yeah.
They're all going to look, symmetrical and uniform, and it kind of plays into what UFC is doing when all the UFC champions, that's their colors, black and gold.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else from all the contenders on down, they can come out and their ring gear is whatever color in the world they want. But the champs wear black and gold, black with gold trim. And that's what Triple H is doing if you look at all these other titles, black and gold. And maybe that's a kind of a wink to NXT black and gold, but you see that that's the common theme in all these new titles he's rolling out.
Yeah.
Beautiful, blingy, but black and gold. Champs should be wearing black and gold, and that's their designation to set them apart from the rest of the roster.
Plus, if you tie in the UFC partnership, it makes you wonder. Yeah, trying to make everything uniform. It
Hmm.
feels like they've got a or title company, Greg, that they just go right to because these titles, come pretty, get put together and they look about the same. So there's a pretty good, conveyor belt of belts going out there. So,
It's true.
um,
Look at the UFC belts and compared to the WWE belts, they look
yeah,
very similar.
yeah. We got into some stuff for Raw. There was a lot going on, Greg. Apparently, it was changed up. Seth Rollins had announced he was going to do a open challenge, which was supposed to be answered by Tommaso Ciampa. But then you don't, do you want Ciampa losing right off the bat? I mean, probably not. But at the same time, him answering a heavyweight challenge is big for him. So we got the big Finn Balor looking like the old Finn Balor, Greg. He attacked Seth Rollins on Raw and on NXT the next night. So we're kicking that off. There's no way I believe Finn Balor wins because he keeps getting all the momentum, though, Greg. So that gives me a little, especially if you maybe want to go the Damian Priest route of winning the Money in the Bank contract. But, Finn Balor really showing a different side of him. I still think we get JD McDonough involved somehow. What were your thoughts kind of on Finn Balor's week that was for, him and Seth Rollins finally amping up their feud a little bit there?
Loved it. Loved how it looked. Looked how they did it. We've seen these, giant brawls to start to show 1,000 times over, but this one looked unique as far as how he did it. Finn, jumps him and comes and hits him with the coup de grace on the floor three separate times, and the way he did it, it was super clean. He hit it perfect, and watching it, you could feel it just sitting on your couch,
Yeah.
and that's awesome when it has that impact, and you can, it sucks you in. It's that visceral the way it looks, and it's not like he, one foot landed on the mat, one touched him. You could see that
Yeah.
was full on impact, and
Mhm.
that reaction, everything was real. Because how could that not hurt, right? So um, I don't care how many medicine balls you take to the abs, that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Um, so it looked great. Finn was perfect. I mean, he did look like old Finn and had that Finn killer instinct. So I loved seeing that. Um, Give some juice to the rivalry, and when that match goes down, everybody's going to be drawn in and ready to see what's going to happen. So loved how that went off on Raw and NXT.
I feel like that's going to open Money in the Bank as well. So I feel like we'll get we probably should get the Money in the Bank match last, Greg, but we'll get the Bloodline Civil War, I think. So, um, which I'm fine with, because it is the big storyline. Maybe I guess the downfall is two Money in the Bank matches. So, you got to spread them out a little bit. Maybe one is second and then one second to last type deal. So, Champa's back, and it sounds like we're slowly going to move him with the way, Greg, and get DIY back, which I'm all for because I want him and Gargano against Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Give me a full program of that. I think that'd be perfect to
Hmm.
kind of get them back on the right page, even if they're losing. It gets them some good matches, and we're moving in that direction. So good to see Ciampa back because it didn't look like he was going to come back, Greg. So and the Miz just keeps doing. He's putting in the dirty work. He's kind of doing the Seth Rollins work right now.
Yep, I agree. Love seeing Ciampa back. Love seeing him back with the old music.
Mhm.
No one will survive, and everybody knew it, singing along with it, and going back to Psycho Killer Tommaso Ciampa.
Mhm.
Um, so I hope he doesn't become part of the way. That's not what I want. Want put DIY together, absolutely,
Yeah.
and let that run. But we don't need to see the way on. the main roster. Backstage, sure, but on on camera, I want to see DIY doing their thing. Uh, old Gargano, old Champa, you know, coming together and giving us something new on Raw. So
Yeah,
I love seeing that version of Champa back, and that would be an amazing rivalry if they end up challenging Kevin and Sammy.
yeah. I think that's after we get through the Imperium for the next couple months or whatever, maybe the next month. But Katana Chance and Kaden Carter keep picking up wins too. Looks like they're pretty high on them, Greg, because they got the good match against Ronda and Shayna in a losing effort, but still, they're getting screen time. I think they're going to put their eggs in the basket of them. It looks like, and kind of let them cook together.
Hmm.
Because I just don't see either one really taking off yet. Obviously, as singles, Greg. So I think them going together and really showing what they can do is a good thing for them right now. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they look great together. Um, it's not going to happen overnight, but
Mhm.
that's why you need to give them the screen time, let people see them, let people get used to them, and their work proves itself. I mean, like I said, they look great against Ronda and Shayna. Their combination offense is great,
Mhm.
and their synchronicity on in their move set and everything is unlike what any of the other female teams can do. So they do stand out from that aspect, but they need to give it time for the fans to catch on and get behind it because
Yeah.
they have that likability. They have that that energy that gets you hyped, kind of like teams we've seen before on the women's side. So it can happen. They just need to give it time to grow. So I can
Yeah.
definitely see it working out.
Especially all the time they had down in NXT. So you would think by now, if they haven't figured it out, Greg, well then they wouldn't be where they're at. So uh Indus Shear picked up a win, whatever. Let's talk
Yeah.
about Logan Paul. That's it. That's all I got, Greg. He's in the Money in the Bank match. He is the Austin Theory of this year. So, but him and Ricochet got a nice little side feud. Do you think that happens at SummerSlam? Logan Paul versus Ricochet, 1-on-1.
I can see them doing something with that. I mean, then we've used up and thrown away the Miz. He did his part, but Ricochet would be great to put in that spotlight. He needs something extra, and some a heel like Logan Paul would be what the doctor ordered, and give Ricochet some time with the stick in his hand. Let him um, relate, to the people. Let him get
Yeah,
that support, and let him prove to Triple H and to us that he's worth it. We know his in ring is amazing. He could do all the flippy stuff like was it Sheamus back in the or not Sheamus,
Braun.
uh,
His
Braun,
his former tag team. I mean, his current tag team partner that's injured, Greg.
right? Does all the flippy stuff perfectly like a luchador, but he needs to show that he can give us something to relate to as far as what his story is, what his character is, and give us something to get behind. So I want to see Ricochet do a promo with somebody and hold his own on the stick, show us some personality, show us some character. So who better than with Logan Paul, where there's a world of material to work with. So
Yeah, if only they gave him a mask, gave him a name like Prince Puma, right? Oh wait,
exactly.
been done, been there, done that. So it's crazy to think how many people have come up through Lucha Underground now that you really consider it. But anyway, so Matt
Just
Riddle
saying.
defeats Ludwig Kaiser, Ludwig. Sorry, is Matt Riddle going to take off the IC title of Gunther, Greg? Because it's kind of looking that way.
That's the next big rivalry, and it's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be a banger for sure. Is Riddle going to do it? I'm not so sure on that. Um, the next guy who takes the title off of Gunther is going to have to be a Titan, and I just see Riddle and Gunther having some banger matches, some 5-star for sure. Um, I don't buy Riddle doing it yet, though. Getting real close, but not getting there. That's
And
where
that
I
could
am right
be.
now.
I guess it's just tough because I feel like they just, yeah, Riddle beat Kaiser, but like I feel like Riddle keeps getting beat down. So it's like eventually he has to overcome something. So that's where I'm like, I don't know. It should be interesting to see because Riddle did he get the U.S. title or has he, or would this? I think this would be his first gold. I don't
I
think
think
he
it
even
would
got.
be.
I don't think he got the U.S. title. So yeah, that's why I was like, well, he's probably time for him to get something, just to kind of see what he can do with some gold. But
Well, no, he's
um,
at tag team gold.
that's right. Sorry, yes, with Orton. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, but no
but he's
singles
never
gold.
he's never had
He
a
was
singles title.
he was right in the U.S. title hunt for a little bit, and I thought that would be. I thought that's where they pull the trigger because that would have been a. It felt like it was just right. Viking Raiders defeat Alpha Academy. When do we get Maxine versus Valhalla? Probably after Money in the Bank. Maybe at a random Raw.
I don't know. I think you should probably give it a pre-show for Money in the Bank, maybe.
Hmm, okay. I kind of feel like isn't the Friday night of SmackDown turning into our pre-show almost in a way, Greg?
It looks like it
I
doesn't. I
mean,
mean,
that's
this
it. They're just getting people on there, and it's there's pretty big. They're putting title matches, so it's like you're almost owing us a pre-show the day before. Uh, so they must have some good stuff planned for Money in the Bank. Like because I assumed Asuka and Charlotte would be
right,
on the card, but now it's got pushed to Friday night, which also makes you think if that saves Bianca Belair calling out the person, then challenging her for the next day. So I think that's where they're going with that. But um,
right.
Viking Raiders Alpha Academy is still a pretty good little feud. We always need these under the radar, just middle of the road. I mean, this is what made the Attitude Era great. You had everybody from top to bottom in some sort of feud, that you could actually buy into. Not just random matches, just to put a match together. But
Right.
how
And
about
that is
Rhea
a
Rip?
curiosity around Maxine
Sorry,
because we now
you
there's
like that suplex in pretty good.
that was pretty sweet. I mean, spiked it, and we're looking at her from going to being the fashionista with the male models to Alpha Academy putting on a singlet
Mhm.
and expecting her to be able to throw with Valhalla, who we know is a decent wrestler. So what can Maxine do? That's the curiosity now. So that's where this whole thing is centered. So I think a good um, 6-man, intergender
Kind of good
match
idea.
is definitely about to pop off, probably on next week's Raw or Raw after Money in the Bank.
Kind of like this thing. And we really haven't seen this version of Sarah Logan. I think has she been in any matches? I feel like it's been very few and far between, other than just getting involved,
Right.
with Viking Raiders. Rhea Ripley took out Natalia. I'm going to assume we're going to get that. Like I said, probably after Smack or after Money in the Bank, we'll get a legit match for that. What about Trish Stratus and Money in the Bank, Greg? I kind of thought with the DQ, you throw Raquel in there by default, but now we have Raquel back with Liv Morgan, so it looks like it's just Trish is in the match. So Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch kind of causes the win for her. So we'll
Right.
see if where that goes. If Becky maybe comes out and cost her, because Becky, Trish, Bailey, who else is in there? Is it Natalia? Is Natalia in there?
Um,
I need my cheat sheet.
I know. I
I'm
don't think
trying to.
Natalia's in
Oh,
there.
Zelina,
Yeah,
Zelina, and I know there was one more. I feel like I should know all these. All right. Oh, Io, Trish, Zoe, Bailey, Zelina, Becky. So there's
that's
our
it.
six. Um, and you feel like a lot of these people. Well, and we were supposed to get the Bailey versus Shotzi match last night, which got rewritten out of it. So, does that get thrown together for Raw or something, or does Bailey just keep in there? So, but pretty good mixture of women with feuds, right? In this women's Money in the Bank ladder match so far.
Right, and it's hard to look at it and see who's going to win. You figure the favorite's going to be Becky, of course, but
They all kind of cancel each other out.
they do in a sense. So it's going to be an interesting. All ladder matches are going to be interesting when there's that many people in them, but there's really a huge question mark as far as who's going to win. There's nobody you can point to and go right there. That's the girl. It's hers for the taking. So there's a great story behind each of them having it.
And they took the men's idea where nobody's won a world heavyweight or a WWE title, which I love. So that gives somebody a first first opportunity either in that match or first time winning it. Even though I feel like the men's are going to go after a secondary title, Greg, because they keep saying championship. They're not. They usually tout the idea that they'll go after the heavyweight or the WWE championship, but with the men's, it kind of feels like they're grooming it that way to, like Austin Theory cashed in on the U.S. titles. So I kind of wonder what direction they'll go with that. Bronson Reed won, and then we had Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn defeat the Judgment Day. Kind of a big win for the faces there to end the night. And we'll get Cody Rhodes and Dominic. What do you do? I don't know if we got to talk about that yet, Greg. Cody Rhodes, Dominic Mysterio for Money in the Bank. Does Brock Lesnar show up there?
Absolutely, because this is going to be a boat race for Cody Rhodes. There's probably, and I don't even know if Rhea's going to come down with him because she's got her own match to be concerned about. So is Priest going to come down with him? I don't think he's booked for anything, but without that outside
Rhea's
help.
not mentioned, and Rhea's not booked for anything, so Rhea probably will come down.
Okay, so
because she's doing Natalia, the feud is on Raw mostly, unless you said like maybe they do a pre-show. But I do feel like we'll get Rhea interfering.
Right, so that may make the match 5 minutes long, but this is all set up for Brock to come down, destroy Cody, and then I can see Dominic getting the
win.
The pin after he drops him with an F5 or 2. And then he can gloat about that on TV and get booed out of the stadium even more, which I'm loving the way they're doing that with Dominic and just giving him all the heel heat. And, the reaction, the way he's playing it is perfect.
And Vince Russo brought this up, which I know it's Vince Russo, but he's like, bro, 6 times, bro. He had to start and stop, bro, 6 times. And I'm like, yeah, because he hasn't learned how to control that yet. Like a guy like Seth. These are veterans that can do that. But back in the day, Roman didn't know how to handle that heat. Just 4 years ago. So I'm not worried. Because it's getting him in heat. Isn't that what we want?
That is
for
what
somebody
you want.
like Dominique.
Right.
He's 26 years old. 2 or 3 years going now. So, if he doesn't know how to handle it, that's okay. It looks bad in the long run, but in short term, it's just trying to help him get better at it. So, but good old Vince Russo and his, I think if Vince came crawling to him, Greg, he'd be going to that side so quickly with his hands and feet up and all that.
All right, hold on. We're missing.
Oh, sorry.
Probably the best part of the whole night on Raw,
which is,
and that was LA Knight coming out.
Oh yeah.
Did you hear that pop? Did you
look at
hear
this?
That?
I'm rocking him.
Oh yeah. You know it.
Everybody's heart. We're jumping on him, Greg, to get that briefcase, but he's not taking the title from Roman. And I don't know if he's taking. That's where I think he might go for a secondary title.
right. But man, that got me when they're doing the obligatory. Everybody comes down and says something for the Money in the Bank,
Yeah.
um, just to show who all the players are.
Yeah.
LNA comes out, and the place erupts. The
Yeah.
place just blows up, and then he roasts everybody in the ring. Cut some great one-liners,
Mhm.
and everybody's shouting his name. And then it's not just that night. Go to He
Last
has
night.
the Friday night on SmackDown, and they're chanting his name during the match.
Mhm.
So this support have been, standing on the table for since he arrived in NXT. We're finally seeing it, and he's been doing it without winning all his matches, with going through these horrible gimmicks, with maximum male models,
Mhm.
the Bray Wyatt disaster, and people are still getting on the train. And now we've had that organic grassroots support for him, and now the place is
Oh.
coming alive when he comes out,
Mhm.
and people are noticing him. He's been getting wins lately, and he is way over, despite being not casting that big a shadow or big a light.
Yeah.
But he is making his own light, and people are loving it, and they're getting them down with the promos. They're down with they're down with that talk show. I'm talking it into existence, because they are loving every second he's on screen. He is out there, and they got to do it. They got to
Which
do
means he
it.
won't bring the briefcase.
Oh no, that's more reason for him to get the
Oh yeah.
briefcase. You kidding me? He gets the briefcase, then you're gonna need to give him a forum to talk, and
Mhm.
where better? If you give it to Grayson Waller, you can give one to LA Knight. So
Oh yeah. And just think, he was tagged as a manager there, Greg, for a minute, because he was too old. So good thing, Triple H got the call, or said, "Be you." I mean, that's pretty much what it is. So
right,
good to see him.
that had to be the biggest pop of the night. That was
Yeah,
an amazing pop. He's probably still getting congrats
he's
on that
he's
pop right
uh
now.
he's channeling some of the young rock stuff too, right? Early
Yeah,
rock. Even
yep,
last night, doing almost the people's elbow. Even when we
true.
got
I
into,
noticed that.
he faced the wrong way. He was facing. He's got to face the hard cam. I'm surprised he didn't know that though, Greg. Come on, man. Like, but
Well, he came from Impact. You give him a pass, but
I
still.
just thought that was interesting. I'm like, wait, you're facing the wrong way there. But yeah,
But
so
your boy was loving that segment when he came out, and I was knocked back by that reaction when he came out. It
mhm.
was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, it feels like all the momentum is there for him. So speaking of momentum, Wesley, he just keeps picking up. I don't know what the heck they were doing with Ali, though, Greg. Are we just trying to push for a triple threat match for the North American title? Is
Yeah,
that why Ali? And then Tyler Bate, I kept looking at those his boots. They almost looked like Timberlands, didn't they? Like old school Timberland wrestling boots. I was like, I was very confused by his wrestling boot of choice that night. But um, Ali, I don't know. Ali's in a weird spot. I just feel like they're just trying anything with him. But I mean, ultimately, we think, Greg, it's going to be like, thank you for your time and your service, and best wishes, because it just feels like they're trying anything with him. So, any thoughts on that end of where we're going with them and Wesley and Tyler Bate?
yeah. But now we're in why not territory.
Yeah,
Um, Ali's down there to help these guys out, and I kind of like how this match went, with Ali being, uh, in it for himself, and
yeah,
a slow count for one, and then counting way too fast for another pinfall, and just making himself the story, and just kind of putting himself in the mix.
yeah.
So it was fun the way it played out, and this definitely is setting up a three-way. So
Which is
he's
fine,
just
but
going to business for himself, so he can get a title shot.
Blade and Inofi get the win. They will go after Gallus next. Not really surprised, because I feel like they haven't got a legit shot at Gallus yet, Greg. So I guess we'll let them kind of get the next shot. I want to get into the Cora Jade and Dana Brooke stuff though. Um, NXT is not loving Dana Brooke, are they? That crowd
No,
was, yeah, they fed into her and got a lot of heat on her on Twitter, I guess. They were all loving Cora Jade though. So yeah, what do we do with Dana Brooke down there in NXT, Greg? If anything,
man, we're sitting out with Mustafa Ali. I mean, you know it's
trying
bad
anything?
when the heel has you in a submission hold and the crowd is cheering for you to tap out. I
Yes,
mean, that's not a good sign.
yeah,
So, you should want the babyface to overcome. And Cora Jade has not been the best heel in the world either. So the fact that they're, you know,
totally behind
yelling for her
her.
to tap out, that's a bad sign for Dana. Um, so yeah, I think she may be following Mustafa out the door pretty soon. And
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
um,
she's just early Natalia.
yeah,
She doesn't know what her, you know, what she should be.
and she's been around way too long not to know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, they've only given her, and it's only been like, she's been the same thing pretty much. It's not like Mandy Rose, where they're like, hey, we want you to try this darker side of you. It's like, okay, I'll go dye my hair. Bailey, I'll go dye my hair, or I mean, I'll cut my hair. I'll get rid of the buddies, and all this. I mean, Dana Brooke really, has been, the Charlotte Flair stuff was about the same. Like she's not had it, maybe it's because she hasn't had to change. But I don't really know what they can get her to, like you said. I mean, even it felt like she was legit hurt, and the crowd was almost cheering it. Like,
right,
I mean that's never a good thing. So, because they kind of went to that odd commercial break, but then it felt like she finished match. So yeah, it's a weird situation there with her. So, and then what about Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson? Where there's the new metaphor, FOUR. Greg, what do you think about the Heritage Cup? I know you didn't get a chance to talk on it last week. New Heritage Cup winner and Nathan Frazier. He got a little backstage segment with Seth Rollins because he trained at Black and Brave under Seth. So that was a nice little moment there. But what do you think about the new Heritage Cup winner and then this new little faction with um, Noam Dar and Metaphor that they're going by?
yeah. I'm trying to look at it with an open mind. I like the name, the metaphor.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a cool name, and just see what they're going to do with it. They're a heel faction, but what are they going to be able to do to live up to it and not just be another group of people? So I'm keeping an open mind, see how it goes down. Um, Excited to see what Nathan Frazier can do with the Heritage Cup. They had an excellent match. Um, and we're getting our first doses of Frazier. So
Mhm.
I still have a incomplete grade on him since he's come in, but he's showing us some stuff. He's showing us
Yeah.
real skill, real talent, and it's going to be the same thing with the whole what personality can you give us? What can you show us that you're about? And the um, little talk show that they're giving him.
I guess we got away
eh,
from that because we haven't seen it since.
Right. It was a little
I
horrible.
think I think they
So
gave up on that. Which is, give it credit. If you think it didn't work once, you know, do away with it. So,
yeah,
usually you just would keep running it through the mill. But I think I actually kind of appreciate, them saying, okay, that probably, or maybe him saying, hey, this isn't what I want to do, something. Because I feel like we just got that 1 week and then it hasn't been back since. So that might be that might be a good sign that that is gone. So
yeah.
uh,
You get what they were trying to do.
yes,
Show his humor.
give him some
He can be
personality.
funny. He can be smart. Give us a personality. Yeah, but it was horrible.
It was but it's the wrong person. He doesn't seem to fit that yet. So
Right.
and Seth Rollins defeat Braun Breaker. I mean, this is just showing Greg. I think when Braun Breaker gets to the main roster, they're going to push him because he doesn't get a match with Seth Rollins if they're not behind him, right?
Yeah. because Seth is going to bring those guys to NXT, and they're going to get, cast on Braun Breaker. And, if they haven't been watching NXT, here's your, shining moment. And they did have a really, really good match. So I like the story they told and, how the match played out. The ending was a little bit clunky, but, we got there and, you know, shout out to Braun Breaker. It was, an excellent match. He showed out well. And, he, like we said, since he's gone heel, I've loved him even more.
Yeah, he's pushed it up a notch. So, and then we did have Finn come out and take out Seth at the end of this too. So it sounds like they were pretty happy with the mixture of. I think putting the right guys on NXT gives NXT that next level. Puts it on the same level as Raw and SmackDown, which is much needed. Because that makes it better if they're going to do Survivor Series, War Games again. You could throw NXT into there now, or down the road. So I like, this infusion of talent here and there, other than Dana Brooke. But
exactly.
who, was technically drafted to Raw, but said she's a free agent. Oh, somebody brought up too, Odyssey Jones, Greg. Kind of forgot he was drafted to Raw. They must be still figuring out what to do with him. He'll be like Veer and just keep saying he's coming, and he'll be
right.
a year later or something.
But, and remember somebody got in the NXT parking lot.
Oh yeah.
So parking lot strikes.
Oh,
again.
that was Stacks taking out
one of the Gallus boys.
Joe Coffey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then we did get the Carmella Hayes, Baron Corbin stuff,
which was really good. Great promo.
Yeah.
And
we'll get them going at each other.
Yeah, that was the great exchange between those two. And Baron got some good lines in. So, shout out to both of them. It was great.
So, somebody that parking lot, Greg, they need to get some better security. Somebody's always getting taken out. And then we did have the Blair Davenport and Roxanne little backstage segment. Roxanne showing, a different side. And Blair being like, okay, it's on now. So be kind of curious to see what they can do. We haven't seen them go one-on-one yet. So, are they like going to pull the AEW route and be like, okay, we're going to give you the blood match first, Greg, and then go backwards. In fact, that's sometimes AEW's MO. So we gotta work on that. Give us some one-on-one and then kind of work. SmackDown, our boy, your boy, LA Knight picked up the win over Rey Mysterio. Escobar got the win over him last week, so he gets Rey Mysterio this time. We can also bring up Carlito's name, Greg. The rumbling is there that he's going to be debuting soon. You got to I do wonder if he'll be there with the LWO as another, mouthpiece. Maybe Rey Mysterio can step back a little bit if he needs to. Almost like a MVP, which I was thinking about as well, Greg. And we haven't seen MVP in a while, in a couple of weeks, right? Or a few weeks,
true.
It feels like. But Carlito back on the WWE radar soon. Sounds like July 7th. So probably the week after Money in the Bank-ish. So good for him to kind of get that payday, right? Maybe his last absolutely. Kind of, big payday as, kind of in the sports world. You're always trying to get that last contract. Why not? So LA Knight picks up the win, pulls off the nice elbow, and he's rolling, Greg.
I know. They took notice of what happened on Monday, and they're like, okay, we got something here. It's time to push him to the moon, to steal Cameron Grimes' phrase. And sure enough, it carried over. Even in a match with Rey Mysterio, having the whole crowd chanting your name, LA Knight, during the match. I mean, that's saying something right there. If Triple H and the powers that be aren't recognizing, then something's wrong with them. But they are recognizing. He got the win, and usually, I figured watching going in that Ray might still get the win, but I like seeing that they.
I kind of thought too, especially if Escobar was going to come out and kind of help him,
right?
Because he did do LA Knight tried to pull on grab the rope a little bit, and then did LA Knight get the win over Escobar too? Now that maybe I got that confused.
No,
Okay,
Escobar got the win
that's what I
because
thought.
reversing the
He
roll up.
reversed it. Yeah. Okay, that's right. So, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler get the win. Not a big surprise there. But Liv Morgan back, Greg. And it's kind of, I mean, those high heels she had on, she was taller than Ronda and Shayna, which is kind of funny to think, Greg, because as soon as she probably took those off, she's probably, 3 or 4
Yeah.
inches shorter. But Raquel wearing the big high heels too, though, because, they need to look menacing. But because I was
Right.
wondering why is Raquel out there, and when she's like, well, and then I was like, well, who? I thought maybe Aaliyah was going to come back because I think Aaliyah and Raquel were the first pairing. So we'll see if Liv can, Liv can get some of her magic back. But like you said, I think them getting new tag team titles is coming down the road sooner rather than later. In a good match, I guess we'll see what Fire and Dawn can do now, Greg, without the titles.
Yeah.
Do they just kind of wreak havoc and go the Bray Wyatt route in a way? But hopefully this doesn't push them down, too far.
I agree. I was thinking that with Raquel being out, she was going to end up costing Ronda and Shayna
Yeah.
the match because of what she did to Liv, or what they did to Liv, and so that was kind of my expectation with Fire and Dawn just coming up, keeping their momentum going. But Ronda and Shayna's a more dominant engine, so that makes sense too.
Does this finally
So,
push the women's tag team title into something? Or is this
I wouldn't
just
say that.
I guess it's the why not in a way, right?
Right. The problem is there's no
There's no,
obvious who's next.
yeah,
Like for the last 6 months, we knew that Kevin and Sammy were it when
yeah.
it came in. Who's the competition for the bloodline for the Usos?
Yeah.
And so, but there's no natural. This is the next team up for the
Especially since
women.
they're going back to the well of Liv and Raquel, even though they didn't lose it. I mean, I guess you could still have, Fire and Dawn get a rematch too down the road just to kind of play that out. Also, Pretty Deadly, they're picking up the wins. Looking good with Grayson Waller. Looks like we got away from the Austin Theory stuff because he wasn't there at all with them, even though Theory wasn't featured at all. They defeat the Street Profits, which is a big win, and they're coming after Kevin and Sammy at on Friday night. I think we'll get a pretty good face pop for Pretty Deadly, won't we? Because it's in the UK, Greg.
Yep, exactly. So it's going to be one of those. Was it kind of? I forgot what city is Philly that probably loves to root for the
Or Canada,
the opposites.
Bizarro Canada.
Exactly, rooting for the heels and booing
Yeah.
the faces. We're going to have another one of those situations. So I think that's what's going to happen there.
Pete
Even though
Dunne
it's
should get a big pop. It's too bad they couldn't go
absolutely.
back to his name too, because that would be a good. I think there. I wonder, did he do a takeover there? Maybe before, probably. Um, maybe him and Gunther. If I
It
remember,
might have.
might have. Yeah, we'll get our
But
track team research team on that, Greg.
yeah, that'd be a great time for him to return to being Pete Dunne, though.
Yeah,
Just
it
get
would
on
be.
the stick and Butch is dead. I'm Pete Dunne
Long
now, or
live
whatever.
Pete Dunne. Long live the
Right.
Queen. No. Speaking of Queen, Charlotte Flair defeats Lacey Evans. I got into a little bit this last week, Greg. Sergeant Slaughter and his daughter are going after Lacey on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that
Oh,
business,
really?
Greg. Yeah, 'cause she's pretty much, she's doing Sergeant Slaughter stuff.
Right.
And I guess he was even asked, because that's the thing. I was like, well, should they ask him to, give her the blessing? And he turned it down, Greg. So I think that's saying a lot about Lacey Evans and where she's positioned. But I'm kind of thinking Bianca calls out the winner and then challenges her a money, at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Does that mean Charlotte gets her 15th title run, Greg?
No.
Or does Bianca just like mess up the match and triple threat?
I think so. I think Bianca wants that rematch with Asuka, not Charlotte,
Yeah.
to make that right. So I think that's what's going to happen is that Charlotte's going to involve Bianca somehow by
Well, she is barred
doing something,
from
smack her in the.
ringside. They did mention that though.
That's true, but they kind of left it open-ended because
Open-ended.
she's like, it wasn't for sure that she's going to be
She's
left
like,
out,
I'll figure it out.
not at ringside. Yeah. But I think she's going to be the reason Charlotte doesn't win.
Yeah. And then you still have Charlotte there. If you want to do Charlotte and Asuka at SummerSlam, kind of finish that out.
Right, and then they can keep taking turns ruining each other's title chance against Asuka. And Asuka keeps winning. Bianca and Charlotte keep their beef going, and this ends up in a triple threat at SummerSlam probably.
I mean, some people are saying maybe Charlotte and Bianca at WrestleMania, one-on-one. I'm down for that. I'm liking Bianca too. Turn a little bit. She's still the same Bianca in a way, but like turning the character up another degree to kind of get that, because just like Charlotte, we need to see Charlotte without a title, Greg. Bianca had a 400-some day run, so now it's time to see what she could do without the title. But and speaking of, showing what he could do solo main event against Sheamus, and balls out, Greg. And then the Usos come out and ruin everything. I kind of, I know it's early for predictions, but I do think Roman and Solo are getting that first win because they're calling it blood. They're calling this a civil war, so we can't just have one match. And it's too bad Hell in a Cell. That's what I'm thinking, Greg. We keep always saying the right feud needs in a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
I know we just had a Hell in a Cell match, but this is just calling for it. The Usos are technically undefeated in Hell in a Cell tag team matches, 1-0, but hey, because they beat the New Day. So, I do think, that we're headed towards that. So, what do you think about, were you popping when Jay finally super kicked? Or sorry, now I'm confused. Yeah, Jay got the super kick on Roman. And Roman sold the hell out of both super kicks.
He did.
So,
he did. That whole segment was fantastic.
Yes.
I knew this was going to be the way it went, but it's just a matter of how they're going to do it. The promo was fire, and them angling it to make it look like, Jay was jumping to the bloodline side before, the super kick heard around the world was great. So the way they set up was perfect. The follow through, perfect, and then having the Usos finally band it together. It was like when they had Sammy and Kevin finally banded together. So that crescendo, that moment was great. So, and then like you said, those super kicks came straight from hell right to Roman's forehead, and they were fantastic. Like I said, he sold it like $1 million. It all looked amazing. So now it has that steam it needs to go forward. And props to everybody involved in that. It was amazing watching that segment play out. Still not my favorite segment in the Bloodline saga, but it's definitely in the top 3 now. The way it went down and the promo they cut. So yeah, it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah. All right, let's do some commercial breaks because we have talked a hell of a lot. We need to get some elite performance going, some rogue energy going, and our good old Rockstar Realtor to give you all the latest and greatest if you need to get a house here in the Indianapolis area. So let's do some quick commercial breaks. Then we'll come right back with some AEW stuff and give you some Forbidden Door predictions.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSPORTS1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322, and make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSports1.com sent you.
All right, so we'll hit some big stuff for AEW and then get right into the Forbidden Door, which is tomorrow night. Good old New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW going at it. So we had the Guns defeat the Hardys. This led to a challenge, though, where CM Punk came back, Greg, on Dynamite. He doesn't even go there. Or he wasn't supposed to be there, sorry. I was doing my Mean Girls with Clarks. Got those mixed up. But anyway, so it's him, Ricky Starks, FTR against Bullet Club Gold. Who else? Samoa Joe and somebody else. Wait, I had it. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, didn't Samoa Joe
Here it
pick
is.
somebody from
The Guns and Bullet Club Gold. Sorry. The Guns. So the Gun Club. Yeah, sorry. So really good for them, the Guns, to kind of get pushed into this segment. And now we'll get this on Collision. Nice CM Punk chant, of course. I'm going to be interested tonight, Greg, in Toronto to see how CM Punk is received. Because obviously the first two dates have been in Chicago.
right.
Do you think it's going to – I think it's going to be a mixed bag. I really do.
No,
and
I agree.
Canada's weird anyway. So,
Canada is weird, and it's this is going to be the first proof that we see that Punk is not universally loved as he was when he first came back. So
yeah, I think that's going to be the thing. You know what? How's he going to be received tonight? So we'll see. Did you get a chance to watch Collision last week?
I did. I definitely watched it. Wanted to see that promo. I wanted to see what happened when he got in the ring. So yeah,
It sounds like the
I
title he
TiVo'd
was
it.
carrying was like a Blackhawks title that was given to him from the Blackhawks mascot, which is why he never got it out, Greg. Because I was like, you're like Jake the Snake. You got to pull it out of the bag here, man. He never did pull it out though. So and maybe he does answer MJF at some point about champion versus champion. Revisit him and Cena when they went, champion for champion. Oh my goodness, I just kicked my camera down. All right, we'll keep talking. Let's get into Jay Briscoe and Jeff Jarrett. So Jeff Jarrett said he would not wrestle on AEW TV anymore, Greg, which means that he will. So, and I will fix my camera real quick.
All right. Well, who doesn't love seeing the Briscoes or Mark Briscoe on camera? He is always entertaining, and he always brings it. I love Mark Briscoe and seeing that. I wouldn't call it a great match, but a lot of shenanigans, a lot of stuff going on, and the right man won, of course. Briscoe needs to get over, and Jarrett's perfect foil. But an interesting concept with the concession stand brawl concept here. Excalibur put it over, going, "There's only been one other concession stand brawl, and it was violent and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Really? Nobody knows about it." So, yeah, I know they were trying to just put some, extra oomph onto it, but I don't think it was really necessary. It's just kind of a weird spin on a regular old street fight, but that's what somebody like Mark Briscoe deserves. And then going back to the Punk thing for a second, like I said, that the first that promo he cut was great. I love the shots he took. He mentioned counterfeit bucks at one point during the promo. went back to his favorite phrase, "Tell me when I'm telling lies,"
Mhm.
and referring back to the title that he never lost, and kind of fanning the flames for eventually
If we can get to that.
getting back to MJF.
Mhm.
So that whole 5, 6, 7 minutes that he was in the ring, cutting that promo, just great Punk stuff. Loved it, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with the guys on the other um, brands, because you've heard him say even on Dynamite, it's like, I'm a Collision guy now.
Yeah.
So is he banished to Collision pretty much for the rest of his contract or whatever?
Yeah.
Because if he's not on Dynamite, then what's the point of bringing him back? So um, I'm curious to see what's going to go down, but the little seeds that he was planting in that promo were vicious, and I was loving it.
Hopefully my camera is holding up. It is very shaky, so I feel like I have to keep recentering it. But yeah, how about that? Just kicked it right out. I was so excited to talk, just kicked it right out from under the feet. So, yeah, Papa Briscoe, he's getting some TV time, Greg, and that's like, okay, whatever. Um, I liked how Karen Jarrett, got involved, and then that random woman got involved. I didn't know if she was a staff or what, Greg. I was like, this is kind of weird, but
Right,
anyway,
like you identify the girl. It's like,
yeah. I didn't know if she was like just trying to help out or she was just like a backstage worker that's like, okay, I better help get this mustard out of his face, as they kept talking about Jeff Jarrett with the mustard in his hair. Makes me think of Kevin Owens when he got pied. We never did figure out who did the pieing, but so Jericho, Guevara, and Suzuki picked up a win over three guys. AR Fox, Greg, who's kind of, remember Action Andretti? And then Dante, was it Darius Martin or Dante Martin? I think it was Darius.
I think you're right.
Is one of them out again with it? Okay, whatever it was, but the
Well,
big
there's a
story
reason
there.
that they're both not there. Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, I think it was interesting that we're going to get Guevara out from Jazz sooner rather than later. That
Yeah.
needs to happen. And now Sting and Darby Allin are doing a challenge against, these three, Jericho, Suzuki, as we're calling them. But they don't want to let us know who the third person is till tonight, and it could be Goldberg.
Oh, good God.
So there's a guy I follow on Twitter. He asked about Goldberg, and Tony Khan was very hesitant to answer it. So,
Great.
and Jericho and Goldberg have heat. But
True. We never saw that play out in WCW.
Like really, I think some legit, because you got to think back then Jericho was on the rise, and Goldberg obviously was Goldberg. But the lightweight guys, they got kind of pushed down the card because of Goldberg's rise. I mean, that was all about it. So,
right. And Jericho was doing the whole Gilbert.
Jobber.
Right.
Coming out with the
Ralphus, yep. And it was gold. It was amazing. Yeah. And Goldberg was pissed off about it, but they never paid it off with a match.
Yeah.
And so
I didn't realize Sting and Jericho had never gone one-on-one. I think that was mentioned.
Yeah. And
I mean, I guess it makes sense because if you look at like Sting's early days, Jericho was out, in New Japan and Mexico. And then the WCW days, like the NWO days, that was Sting versus NWO. But then Jericho shifted to WWE at the time, or WWF in '99. So yeah, I guess they never would have crossed paths, which is crazy to think, like one-on-one. So
Exactly. And speaking of Twitter wars, somebody had asked Jericho about, all the missed opportunities he had with guys like Goldberg or
Yeah,
during his runs, and then mentioned he never saw Goldberg or Jericho and Sting. And Jericho was like, "Yeah, not interested.
yeah.
That will never happen." And now look at what's happening.
Money talks. Maybe so. Adam Cole and MGF, they went to a draw last week, Greg, so we're still going to get that. And we're going to get them as blind tag team partners for this, blind tag team tournament they're doing. So I thought it was very telling when Tony Schiavone did not call out the names at first in that segment with RJ City, Greg. So I was like, well, when are we going to get the names? But we're going to get Adam Cole, MJF. I don't think you can play this out till All In or All Out, Greg. I think we'll have to probably do another legit finish before then. But could you do it that long? Could they? I mean, I guess they could be the tag team that keeps winning, and then they finally blow up like Finn Balor and Samoa Joe when they won the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Right. Or MJF and Jericho.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely the groundwork has been laid for that before. Loved how this played out. And since I did speak on it last week, that promo between MJF and Adam Cole was sensational. It was amazing. I loved it. Just one pipe bomb after another being lobbed at each other, and Adam Cole, to me, getting the better of it.
Yeah.
Leaving MJF speechless in the middle of the ring. He always thinks he's untouchable on the mic, and Adam Cole is just as, if not better, than MJF on the mic. And this is what we're here to see. This is similar to when we had Punk and MJF standing across from each other with microphones in their hand. So
I think this is the Adam Cole we all wanted when he first showed up too.
Absolutely.
I think he's finally kind of figured out what he wants to be.
Yep.
So.
And that match had me drawn in, and see that it was a title eliminator, to use their term, which is still horrible. He wasn't going to lose the match, but how was he going to win it? So I was thinking he's going to win by disqualification or something like that. MJF just throws his hands up and walks off and takes the count out, something like that. Going to a 30-minute draw like that and being 1 second away from getting a 3 count, perfect and fantastic match. So these guys are printing money right now. It's going to be amazing.
Just don't think we need another Iron Man match, right?
No, I mean,
because we saw that with MJF and Bryan Danielson. So
exactly,
give it a legit finish. Like I said, do you think it could get stretched out till either All Out or All In is pushing it?
How many months is that now? It's probably
so All Out is the end of August, and All In is the next weekend.
Oof. It's possible to, if they decide. Depends on how long this tag team tournament is supposed to be.
If they can stretch out as long as they want, in a way.
Yeah.
Too,
so it's possible, and then seeing them in the ring, like this segment where he's saying no to Tanahashi, and Adam Cole's like, "Oh, so you're scared of Tanahashi? He's better than you," and turning his own phrasing against him. So, next week is going to be the same thing in reverse. Even though, Adam Cole's not going to back down from anybody, maybe MJF books Adam Cole into a match with whoever. Yeah. And they keep doing this to each other for a number of weeks. So I can see something like that going down.
Because we'll get Tanahashi and MJF tomorrow night. And we're going to get Adam Cole and I think it said Tom, what was his name? Oh, Tom Lawyer. So there you go, Greg. Whoever that dude is. But anyways, Chris Statlander pick up some wins, and then Okada and Bryan Danielson face off. Well, sorry, Eddie Kingston came out, had to wear a T-shirt because he's had surgery and he's been eating ice cream break. I
Keeping
don't
it
know
real.
I don't know, I get, yeah. And they said, so their partner will be Ishii for another battle with the Blackpool Combat Club. And then we got the kind of the pipe bomb that Bryan Danielson and Okada are going to be the main event for Forbidden Door, which I didn't really think they would be. But then again, I thought maybe Omega and Ospreay would be the main event.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're going to get the Okada and Bryan Danielson, Greg, to finish off tomorrow night, and it's going to be a long night, but I'm ready for it. So it should be really exciting to see those two go at it. And I kind of want them just to go at it once. This is it. What, they never face off again.
Interesting. And you're throwing a lot of stakes up there. This is going to be like the one and only, and which makes it special. There's one match, and that's it. One goes back to Japan, one stays here, and it's going to get talked about for a bit, but then you're just going to fade from memory until hopefully this comes up in the discussion of best matches ever, or
unless Bryan really wants to go to Japan, and then you do it at the Tokyo Dome or Budokan Hall, and then you throw it at Wrestle Kingdom or something like that.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen anytime soon. So, yeah. And what about Ishii for teaming up with? So it'll be the Young Bucks, Hangman, and then Eddie Kingston and Ishii. Who had that as a team, Greg?
Nobody. If he did, he should be playing the lottery.
He is a freaking pit bull. He's a stone wall walking down he's a brick wall walking down. So, yeah. Some stuff happened on Rampage. Sky Blue picked up win, so she's moving on in the Owen Hart women's side of things, Greg. CM Punk will get his shot tomorrow night. And then also we have Billy Starks, fresh off her high school graduation. You want to feel old, Craig? There's a way to feel old. Is a high schooler, senior, just graduate. Well, that Nick Wayne was signed even before he graduated. So, and I think she was in the same boat. But anyways, what about Jack Perry? I'm seeing a lot of rumblings about him. Oh, sorry, I did forget that Zack Sabre Jr., Daniel Garcia, Orange Cassidy, and Shibata will all go for Orange Cassidy's title.
Yeah.
So there you go. That was also that came about. And the random pairing of Daniel Garcia and Zack Sabre Jr. Didn't even realize that. There's a really good promo with Zack Sabre and Samoa Joe about their respective TV titles. So I hope we revisit that. But getting back to Jack Perry, heel turn soon, Greg. That feels like what everybody's saying for him. What say you?
About a Jack Perry heel turn?
Yeah.
I'm down for it.
Is he kind of losing has he lost, some of his magic?
I think so. I think the peak of it was Jurassic Express.
Yeah.
And then Jungle Book has never really taken off. And now he's back to square one after losing the Pillars match.
Yeah.
And with everything he's done is pretty much died on the table with going back to Christian and Luchasaurus. That never took off. So he needs something new because he's losing some steam.
Right. I feel like they haven't really, pushed him to get something. Let's pick up a good win here and then pick up a good win here. But, we're not going to give you a title, which sometimes the title helps book that a little bit better. So, the Acclaim, the Daddy Ass picked up a win. Johnny TV, Greg, gets to join with Taya. Yeah, John Morrison is. I think he's officially all elite. Is the wording on the streets?
Okay.
Get
Well,
that payday. I
that's
mean,
been
his
the
wife
one
is
missing
there.
thing for her.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So, and then Swerve Strickland, United Empire picked up a win. Random pairing there, but we're just trying to get Osprey on TV. You think he'll be all elite soon, Greg?
Who, Osprey?
Yeah, I think
I
they're
hope
because I
so.
think they're done with their time in New Japan.
I hope that's the case, and hopefully that's why they're showcasing him the way they are right
And
now.
the other the tag team partner got injured um, of United Empire, so now you got a chance just to put them on AEW and kind of let them see where they could go. So
Yeah, if you're gonna have a guy standing over Kenny Omega at the end of a show,
yeah,
it better be for a good reason.
sure. Here's kind of the preview for tonight. What about Andrade? You didn't. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about that last week, Craig. Do we still think he finds his way to WWE sooner rather than later?
Um, I think that door is open now with Vince gone and um, them recently being married. I think they got married end of last year.
Yeah, and we did see what
Um,
Charlotte did last night.
right, and Andrade winning with Charlotte's move.
Yes, there
So
you go.
that's not obvious at all. So
Yeah.
um, I hope he does end up back in WWE. So I would
And then
not
what do you
be
think
against it.
about Luchasaurus winning the TNT title? Where's Wardlow go for that?
Good question. I like Luchasaurus winning. I like the heel being the champion and the babyface having to overcome and
But
get through
essentially,
all
he's
the
giving it
shenanigans
to
to get the
Christian.
win. Right. And that's just going to help Luchasaurus because, he's going to get the, what's the term we're looking for? He's going to get the,
Sympathy or no?
no, Chris is going to get all the heat and he's going to
Oh
get
yeah,
the heat reflected off of
yes.
Christian
Okay,
onto him.
gotcha.
So
Yeah,
it's all residual heat for both of them, just
yeah.
because Christian's going to be standing in the ring.
Like Christian's gonna be the unofficial TNT winner, champion,
Right.
until he finally makes Luchasaurus, fight, give it to him.
And speaking of
then-
Wardlow, could he be out on the way out the door? I mean,
Yeah,
all his steam is gone.
I mean, we talked about this like a three-time TNT winner, which is two more than I would have envisioned for him.
Right, and he's pretty much done nothing with any of those reigns. I mean,
Well, that's another start and stop guy. MGF, yes, that thing kind of that didn't help things, but so we'll see where he goes. I think off TV for a little bit, and let him figure out things. But all right, so should we just jump right into this? We got a lot of matches here, Greg, and then we have a second page. So we'll kind of start at the bottom. Athena versus Billy Starks. I think it's going to be Billy Starks. I think, you want to get her first win, showing up on AWTV. It's the pre-show. But I think she's going to win over Athena to kind of move on, at least in the first round. Get her some momentum now. What do you think?
yeah, I'm done with Athena. It's just the same stuff, but she's not really reinventing herself or doing anything different.
Yeah.
With her presentation, with anything, and she's had multiple chances to do better, and she hasn't. So I'm off her bandwagon, and I'm on the Billy Starks train.
Adam Cole versus Tom Lawyer. Does MJF make an appearance to cost Adam Cole here, Greg?
That's the only reason. It's like everybody's like Tom who? I don't know who Tom Lawyer is. So yeah, this is all part of the MJF Adam Cole setup. Well, does Adam Cole lose? No, but MJF makes it difficult for
Maybe
him, I'm
tries to,
sure.
yeah. That's what, yeah. I'll say Adam Cole wins, but if they pull the old Action Andretti type win, Greg, it won't surprise
Mhm.
me. So, Tony Storm versus Will Nightingale for the AEW World Championship. You got to remember, Will Nightingale is some sort of champion already, so I
New
don't think
Japan
she's winning
strong.
this. Yeah, so I don't think she's winning this. Um, Probably the Outcasts get involved, and Tony Storm gets the win here. What say you?
Um, I'm gonna go the other way. Say Willow continues her momentum. I mean, she just beat Mercedes
Win the
Monet
title?
to get that title, and she's getting some street credibility. I mean,
Champ.
the smiling, dancing, and all that stuff was nice, but now she can really show that I'm legit now. Aside from beating the legit boss, she did it in Japan, so nobody saw it. And what better place to you know show on the real deal? This is not just a worthless piece of plastic. I'm somebody, and now I got two belts. So I'm gonna go out on the limb and call it for Willow.
Champ. All right. Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shibata versus Daniel Garcia. Is this finally it, Greg? The end of the road for Orange Cassidy? Is this where we pour out the OJ for him, or does he keep rolling?
Nope, not tipping any OJ yet. He finds a way. He always finds a way, and this is gonna be no different.
I'm gonna go out on a limb like you, Greg, and say Garcia gets it, and
Okay.
that might get him, finally out of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Kind of showing off that he's got a title. Hopefully, he's got some tighter pants on this week, Greg. He had a little mishap on Wednesday night, so got to sew that a little bit tighter in certain areas of the male figure. So, um, yeah, what a spot to get a hole, Greg. But
I
CM
missed
Punk
that.
picks up the win over the men's own heart. And then Samoa Joe is in the right across from him, Greg, in the next round. So, because Samoa Joe is in the same side, I'd love for them to go at each other in the finals, but we might get that a little bit sooner. So, I'm calling all for this for CM Punk. I have no idea who the other guy is. I'll just be completely transparent, like a crystal clear glass. I have no idea who Kojima is.
Right. I'm in the same boat with you. It's like I know who Kojima is, but Punk's just coming back. He's got this
Yeah.
at least this win,
Yeah.
so we can't start him out with a loss.
And then I'm trying to remember, did Blackpool Combat Club get the first win over the Elite in the blood? What match they did the what was it? The street fight,
Anarchy in the
Anarchy in
arena.
Arena, and they got
Yep.
the win.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call the Elite gets this win. I mean, we got to get to blood and guts, right? I mean, that's
Right.
so I'm calling the Elite to get this win. And I mean, I like to see
Mm,
Eddie get it over Claudio.
I agree. I think this could be what costs the elite the win is Eddie's
Own business.
yeah, going into business for himself with Claudio. Um, but I kind of
What's
agree with
your
you that sending it into blood and guts as a rubber match and having him, get the win,
yeah.
one way or the other. So
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to be as satisfying as Kingston getting the pin on
Claudio,
Claudio,
but something,
but
yeah.
something like that happens.
I
And
mean, I
so
guess
we'll
if
see
you
the
really
elite
want
win.
Takeshita to really be the man, he's got to get the win, right? To fully cement himself in Blackpool Combat Club.
Right?
That's
Uh,
the X factor. Because they haven't really made it known, but obviously they were on screen together. Just like Will or Yuta had to prove himself. Or maybe you give Takeshita a win on Dynamite. I mean, that could go too. So, yeah. And there's no, we don't have any fun stipulation to this. So we'll see if they add, if they do a ref bump or something to kind, let the rules slide a little bit in this one. Next page, Lazuki Gods. So this is Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Minoru Suzuki versus Sting, Darby Allin, and my prediction is Goldberg, because there's no other names out there. I don't know, but anyways, I'm going to say the faces, Sting and Darby Allin, and whoever they pick. Just especially because you just had Jericho pick up a good win on Wednesday night over that jobber team, but maybe Guevara kind of finds himself on the outs starting soon. So I'm going to go the face side of things, and like I said, I think it's going to be Goldberg. I don't want it to be Goldberg, but I just don't know whether their name is out there, Craig.
Yeah, I can't think of another name either, and I really hope this one is not Goldberg. I hope never to see Goldberg on my screen again in a wrestling show.
Yeah.
If it's American Choppers or whatever reality show he's doing, fine.
Jay Leno's Garage.
Exactly. Let him do all that. But please stay out of the wrestling ring.
Yeah.
I
mean, I do think he wants that. He does want that legit final run and final. So it's like, whatever.
And now we have a match with
as long as it's not Ryback. Ryback's been coming up a lot too in the news. I guess he was supposed to call in. He tried calling in to Busted Open the other day, Greg, and he kept getting the runaround. So, yeah.
But they don't want to talk to him either.
Mark Henry said he would talk to him wherever, but yeah, we'll see. So,
yeah. So we have a match with Goldberg and Sting on one side. This is my nightmare match.
Yeah.
So I really hope that's not it. But
which way are you going again?
How can you not put it over if that's the case? So if we'll say the face side just to keep it simple.
Next up, MJF and Tanahashi. We saw Tanahashi last year go against Moxley. MJF picks up the win here. I just because it's for the AW World Championship, so they're not gonna drop it there. I think if it was just 1-on-1, you could maybe pull that out. And like we said, Adam Cole gets involved. I do wonder if he'll get involved in this. So I do think MJF. This is all MJF. So,
yeah.
Which way are you going?
MJF.
Yep. Sonata over Jungle Boy Jack Perry with Hook. Whatever. Sonata has no idea who Jungle Boy is, Greg. So obviously he's going to win, especially since it's for his title. Yeah. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. I think Sonata gets the win too, and this could be what sends Jungle Boy to the dark place, and we get a new Jungle Boy, or maybe
it goes like Jack Perry.
Exactly. Yeah, the Jungle Boy gets dropped, and does he dare cut his hair? Because I'm gonna say character change like cutting all that hair.
I mean, Wardlow did it, and look how well it worked out for him.
Right. Well, we're talking about a top knot versus
that's true.
Like a
legit. This would be Bailey's status.
That's 5 pounds of locks for love right there.
Yeah. That's a wig for the whole BW Sports 1 team.
Exactly. Dan the man's up first.
Oh man, Kenny Omega.
What's up, boss?
Who I forget that is the champion for the IWGP United States Heavyweight title versus Ospreay. I'm going to call Ospreay. Get the title. Let him cook with it. Maybe he does go back to Japan for a little bit, Greg. Omega loses because I think Omega got the better of him first. So now, we got to go the rubber match. We got to go back and forth. So I'm calling Ospreay here for the win.
Yeah, I think we've seen one match with Ospreay and Omega won on AEW TV. So I'm with you. I'm going to go with Ospreay winning. And what point is Kenny having the championship if he's not going to be around to defend it? So let Ospreay take it back to Japan until whenever he's officially all elite.
Yeah.
And now you have reason to keep the beef alive, keep the rivalry alive. If Kenny wins all the matches, then it's not going to mean anything to us. So I want to see somebody somebody beat Kenny clean. Not that I think Ospreay is going to be do it 100% by the book, but somebody who's on his level that can beat it.
Yeah. And then finally, the main event: Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada. This is good. I think this is really gonna. You feel like it's gonna be one of those that's gonna take a few minutes, just because they've never gone one-on-one, Greg, to like find their footing, feeling out process. But I feel like once they get going, I think people are really going to have high expectations anyway. I think they'll find that second gear, as they say. But I'm calling all for Bryan Danielson. Standing tall, Blackpool Combat Club come out to, celebrate with them. And then we're moving on. So which direction do you think you're going to go with this?
I'm a little torn on this one, just because we know Okada is like the god of Japan, Japanese wrestling. And that being said, we've seen him wrestle here in the States one time, unless you've found where New Japan Wrestling is on your TV dial.
Mm-hmm.
That's been the only match I've seen of him. But he's the Japanese Ric Flair. He's the GOAT. So knowing that rep coming in and how big everybody's been putting this match over, I love Bryan Danielson, and seeing how being a heel has been so fitting for him. But I'm curious how good Okada is, and I think it's got 5-star written all over it. So just having two Japan guys win back to back in the main event and co-main event, essentially, would that work?
I guess that's where the positioning is too.
Right, that's the only question. So,
because do you put like a fluffer match, fluffer match between some of the bigger matches,
or some type of interview segment, or
that kind of separates it a little bit.
Yeah.
You gonna pull the trigger on Okada then?
Yeah, just because I want to see it.
Rainmaker? You want to see it rain?
I want to see it rain. I want to see how good this guy is, and that gives more credence to him coming back in the future, or when they do Forbidden Door next year, having him have that credibility, coming in that this is the guy, this is the king coming down from Japan, and you better send your biggest gun if you're going to beat this guy. So. I'm going to go ahead and say Okada.
Okay. Well, there we go. Got all of our predictions in. Any last call for the good of the matter, Greg?
I'm going to shout out to the BW Sports crew. Starting at the top with Dan the Man. I think he just had a birthday recently, so shout out, happy birthday. And I finally got the props to set up the Gmail account.
Good.
So I'm official. Gray.BWSports1 is official. So it's still from Adam Pierce.
His birthday today. Happy birthday, Adam Pierce.
Hey, there you go.
And happy 25th anniversary to Edge. That's
nice.
Crazy.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I'm sending an official birthday cake with it's official written on it. Just another.
Apparently, he didn't like the picture that the Twitter staff used of him, Greg. So I thought that was. I didn't think it was too bad. It just looked, like he was just having fun during a photo shoot. But it was probably the one that he didn't want ever to get out. So, happy birthday to Scrap Daddy, as he was called back in the day.
Yeah, I saw a thing that said Bray Wyatt's return could be sooner than later.
Somebody brought. Well, they were bringing up Eric Rowan, put a picture saying on. So, does Rowan find his way back, Craig? That could be something. So, yeah. And we're counting down. And then I saw Carmela is 20 months or 20 weeks pregnant. Feels like 20 months because she can't stop talking about it. But it's first one. So, of course, crazy to think her and Alexa Bliss are out on the sidelines pregnant at the same time, Craig. Like, I was really thinking about, in what, 15, 16 years, we're going to have quite the crop of wrestlers if they want to go that route. Between the Miz's kids, Bryan Danielson's kids, Roman Reigns has a plethora of kids. I think that he's got 5 kids. Seth Rollins, you have his baby. Who else was I think? Alexa Bliss, Carmella. I mean, there could be some real good, there could be some interesting baby. Nikki
Andrade and
Brie.
Charlotte are probably working on something, and then
Nikki and Brie, their babies.
Yep, and Matt Hardy,
Yeah.
Maxwell, and
that's its own faction. He's got 4. Maxwell, Wolfgang. Then there's 2 more. There's one girl. I know there's a girl. The youngest is a girl. She's just celebrated 2. I think she just turned 2. But it's crazy baby fever must be popping. It's still crazy to think Tamina has his son out there. Who's to say they need another Samoa? That's what I was going to bring up, Greg. I called out this long shot, Ava Raine, to get called up to the main roster to be the new bloodline. So you got to have the young guns and her and Solo running with Roman. And then Rock obviously can feature in there sometime. But yeah.
Well, what better way to come in than, Roman browbeating Ava
daughter
over something that she did, and then Dad coming out to stand up for her. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was like, huh? And then apparently there's Rikishi has another son, and when more, another cousin out there, Greg. We got this Samoan family, man. I might have to do my bloodline work and see if I'm related to them somehow.
Right. They do not believe in contraception.
There's a big quite the big plethora of family out there. So I guess you got to think too. Samoan Islands are not very. It's not a very big country, I would assume. So who's to say? It's kind of like back in my high school days. Like everybody came from the South Side, and you felt like everybody was related at some, just somehow, like cousin or second cousin. So, yeah. But all right. Well, I need to get going. My computer is telling me that I need to charge it. I forgot my plug was in the other room. I'm just having all kinds of fun issues today, Greg. Knocking over my camera. Computer's like beeping at me that you need to charge me. But we'll be back at it next week to talk up Collision, talk up Forbidden Door. Well, wait, it's Money in the Bank. So we got that to catch up on as well.
That little thing.
So we might we'll get everything. We'll get our Money in the Bank predictions and then catch up on some Forbidden Door stuff and all that good stuff. So we got a busy month or busy weekend next week. So and I can't believe it's already July. I know I'm in school mode, Greg, because every day I was like, what day is it? Like, what time of day is it right now? Because I'll wake up, eat, go back to sleep, wake up, eat, go back to I've realized I'm a cat because I just lay around, eat, and then, poop and pee. Like that's been my life the past week or so. And you've had your son, so you got any big plans to do with him?
I think I'm hanging out. We may go down to there's a place called Patriots Point where you can take a tour of a battleship.
Okay. Cool.
Forgot the name of it, but there's one here, and they do a little tour. You can see all the naval uniforms, and right on the ocean.
Good.
So we can see all that. So I think we may do that today, into the war and fighters, tanks, all this stuff. So May go down to see that today.
Okay.
And hit the beach. You know,
Nice weather there today.
cool. It is today. It's been like little mini hurricanes like all week with the downpours that last for maybe 20 minutes and then they're
And they're
gone.
done. Yeah. Like the Florida weather.
Exactly.
I remember we had a Disney trip, and even before we got to the entrance, Greg, one of those stupid rainstorms popped up and just doused us before we even got to the entrance. And then the rest of the day we dried out because that sun got out, and like today it's supposed to be about 90. Humidity, I would say about 90 as well, because they're giving us the air quality alert. Where you're like, be careful of the air, how humid it is. So nothing beats that. I will be sitting inside with my fans on and my AC on. So
Smart man.
yes. Once whenever it's that weather where you step outside and you're like, you call, you feel it on you, and I'm like, nope, nope. I do have a concert tonight. I'm going to go see the Descendants, pop punk band from the late 80s or early 80s and 90s and 2000s. I've saw them once before, and I get to see them again, so pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we will get you guys all caught up next week, and talk to you next week.